Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 replays in the Soviet Tier 9 double-barreled heavy tank, the IS-3-II. Now, this tank obviously has just come out with the new double-barrel tech tree line, and this is the Tier 9. The first game will be stock, the second game will be with the second gun that you get, because you get a... The way this tank upgrades is you get this 100mm gun double barrel that you get as the top gun on the IS-2-II. And then on the IS-3-II, you get this as stock. And then you get a 122mm gun, which is a second upgrade gun for this tank. And then you get the fully upgraded, full whack, top 122mm gun, which is where the fun is for this tank, because those double barrel guns are really, really fun to use. And this tank so far, stock, was really quite fun. I actually didn't mind this tank stock whatsoever. The turret armor was a bit of a pain because they tended to go through the cheeks quite often. But apart from that, it didn't feel that bad. I could side scrape with it just like a normal IS-3. I could keep the damage pumping out with this 100mm gun, because actually this 100mm gun, the only real thing that it lacked being stock was penetration, because you have 221 penetration on the AP, 256 penetration on the APCR, the premium round, which is more than enough to pen most things you're going to face, but it just struggled against things like Type 4 heavies, Type 5s, you know, the super heavy tanks really that you can face at this tier. And yeah, that's where it struggled. But on the whole, just because of how fast this gun reloads, it was really quite fun to play. I didn't mind it. And then you got to the next 122, and the next 122 just meant that you had some alpha, and that was really quite okay. Realistically, the big problem with the next gun is the fact that you still have that low penetration. And then you get to the top gun, and the top gun is really solid. This tank, on the whole, has been an absolutely solid Tier 9 to play, and it's really been just great fun in general. And yeah, this first replay, we are completely stock. So, what do I run in terms of a crew on the old IS-3-II? I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, Rapid Aim. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because I like to be able to get this turret on target as quick as possible. The 3 gun perks, because I don't run the stabilizer, but with the 3 gun perks, it means that this gun is ready to go pretty much all the time. And yeah, the gun handling on all these guns is actually really not that bad at all. You can definitely not have to take stabilizer and you'll be perfectly fine. And then in terms of equipment, I run the optics, the traction system, and vents. Vents to make the most out of everything on this tank, so like DPM, accuracy, etc, etc. The traction system to get myself up to 41 kilometers an hour, and especially when you get the top engine, you will hit that really easily. And the optics to be able to spot for myself, because with this build you will get up to about 497 meters of view range, which is great. So this replay here on this map, which is Berlin, we've made a mistake. I didn't think that E4 was actually going to poke out, because he was last spotted at F6, and I thought, okay, it's safe to attack this 50 TP. Unfortunately, the E4 came back, gave us a royally good shellacking, and the 50 TP put a shot into us, putting us down to a 1-shot. We're just going to double barrel his lower plate, because we've now got premium loaded, because that is the only way we're going to pen a 50 TP, and that means he is now in the range of being a 1-shot for our cannon. But I can't poke out and shoot him now at this point, because he will shut me down. I've got to be very, very careful. I mean, realistically, so far in this replay, you've seen a lot of the strengths of this tank, and that is side scrape, and it does very well at that. And, yeah, here comes the artillery. It's like, no, don't do it. We track him in place again, and I'm going, yes, I've got him. And I was thinking that maybe the 50 TP might get shut down if he came around the corner, all this artillery, but unfortunately, neither of them took a hit from my friends at the bottom. And I had to try and get away from the 50 TP's gun, and we drove into the artillery. But we finished that game with the 1561 base XP, the 4.2k damage, a pretty good game there, bottom tier, well, mid tier, on Berlin, while perfectly stock in that tank. And I think it just showed that this tank is fully capable even when it's stock. Like, I fully enjoyed it while it was stock, to be honest. It's one of those weird ones. It's complete contrast from the IS-2-II. The IS-2 Desmond Tutu? The IS-2 squared? Yeah, we'll keep going with that one. It's complete contrast to the IS-2-II, right? And that is that when the IS-2-II, IS-2 squared, we'll get there. When that was stock, it was horrid. It really was. If you weren't top tier, it was abysmal to play. Once you were top tier, you could at least feel like you could do something. Once you got it fully upgraded, however, it's like a complete reversal. The IS-2-II was great. This tank, I've enjoyed it all the way through. It's a really, really solid tank. The double barrel's fun to use. The armour on the hull is troll. That's the way I'd put the hull armour on the IS-3-II, is troll. Because it's not something that you realistically want to go, aha, I can bounce everything off of my hull, no problem whatsoever, because it won't. But it can bounce shots because of angles. And they really have to aim their shots to hit the right spot to pen you. But realistically, the strength of this tank is to go hull down. You don't really want to be exposed with your hull armour to the enemy team. You want to get to a position where you can use your turret, use your gun depression, because that is the one thing about this tank. It does have 8 degrees of gun depression, which is absolutely fabulous. And that means you can use this tank on a ridgeline pretty damn well. And you can use it to very, very good effect in that regard. So you want to be on a ridgeline using your gun depression, just like you're seeing here, and you can keep slapping out the damage while concealing your hull. But because it's that IS-3 type armour, it is very good at side scraping. So if you can get side scraping, you will bounce a lot of shots off of your side because you have that magical Soviet side armour with the spaced armour, and you will bounce a lot of shots while side scraping, and then you can keep pumping out the damage with this double barrel, which is what you saw in the first replay on Berlin, where we were managing to keep bouncing like the Conqueror or the 30B and then put the shots into them. Whether we were hitting both the double barrel shots or not, yeah, because it's one of those things that if you've not experienced a double barrel and this is the first time you've seen a double barrel in action, if you do press left on the D-pad, you get the ability to fire both shells from both guns. But they are both separate shell RNG. So one shell could bounce and one shell could pen. And you saw that in the first replay. We had a couple of double barrel shots attempts at the Super Conqueror's lower plate, and one hit the floor and one penned. And we kept doing that, which is really frustrating, but that's RNG for you, right? And that's just the way it is. But you want to try and get yourselves hull down, try and not expose your hull armour as much as possible, and then just keep slapping out the rounds. And this replay here on Dukla Pass, we are using the second gun upgrade for the tank, which isn't fully upgraded. This is just another 122mm gun. And this gun has 226 penetration on its AP rounds and 248 penetration on its premium APCR. Now, the shell velocity on this gun is 780 meters a second on the standard AP with 975 on the APCR. So you really do have to make sure you lead your shots with the standard AP because the shell velocity really isn't the best. I'd say this is the derpiest feeling gun on this tank out of all the gun options you can get, because the stock gun really feels great in terms of accuracy. It doesn't feel that derpy whatsoever. It hits most of its shots. Occasionally, because it is Soviet, it will miss, but that's the way it is. The top gun, again, doesn't feel that derpy realistically. It seems to hit most of the shots I want to hit, and that's lovely. This gun was the one that felt the most derpy in terms of not hitting shots. If it could miss, sometimes it would, which was a little bit frustrating. But having that higher alpha for pretty much the same pen as the other stock gun was definitely a nice thing, and it's definitely a trade-off. I think if you are grinding the IS-3-II, you have a choice. You do have a very valid and good choice between sticking with the 100mm gun that's stock up until you get the fully upgraded 122, or switching out for the alpha. It depends on what you prefer, whether you want to get that higher heavy tank alpha, or whether you want to stick with the 300 alpha faster firing 100mm gun that you get at stock, because they're both pretty solid gun choices for the grind, but obviously you're always going to ditch them both for when you get to that fully upgraded 122mm experience, because that fully upgraded gun is very, very good. So this second replay, we are on Dukla Pass, and we've really done a rotation with the enemy team. They've pushed down the 9-0 towards where our spawn was, and we've pushed down the 1-2 to where their spawn was. This poor T-95 is completely caught out. We end up shooting him in the engine there, which sets him on fire, and he gets shut down by the Waffle Panzer IV. We're now 4.6k damage with 768 assistance, and we see that there's a TD spotted at G8, but also a heavy tank, so we're going to see if we can get some shots into this guy. Now with a 122mm gun, this is where it's nice, we can overmatch the side of that machine's tracks, his side, whatever, we can overmatch that, so we can actually just pen it at whatever angle we shoot it at. But unfortunately, at this distance, at 520 odd meters, we are really struggling to get this gun accuracy to live up to itself and actually hit the shots. We finally hit him again there, and the Progetto 54 shuts him down. We're just looking to see if we can get any shots at the Progetto 54, but we couldn't quite see him. We can see the Charlemagne, but I'm not quite sure what I can see of him. He must just be about hull down, so we can't quite see the shot. So it's like, okay, you know what? My plan is to push the Charlemagne, see if we can get any shots at him, maybe shut down the Progetto, and then we can get up behind the TD and the heavy tank that were at F9, or that were attacking the medium tank anyway, at E0. And that way, we've got the plan of action. We can try and get rid of the two guys on our right, but we can also try and help the guys down below, distract them, shut them down, and solve the problem that we have got with the TD and the medium tank that are attacking our TD and medium tank. Because you want to try and help your team where you can, and naturally, if we just go chasing off after that heavy tank, these guys are really going to struggle. As you've just seen the E4 shut down the Centauro. We go for the double barrel there into that E4, which we do, because I wanted to stick him down to a low enough level where I might be able to double tap him or be able to shoot him again. Plus, I had the element of surprise, and that is the thing that you need to do with these double barrels, is assess when you're going to double shot and when you're going to single shot. I went for the double shot on the E4, because I had the element of surprise. I felt like if I shot him once, he was just going to turn around, and then I wasn't going to get the opportunity to shoot him again, or at least without possibility of taking a hit. So we double shot into him for that 700 odd damage, and then he ended up getting shut down by the Waffle Panzer IV. But that way we restricted his ability to actually shoot us back, which is why I went for the double shot. Because there's a lot of opportunities as well where you do kind of want to stick with just firing single shot, and that way you are maintaining your higher DPM, because obviously if you do double shot, then you have a cooldown before you can then start reloading the gun, which means that your DPM is way worse than when you're just firing single shot. So, right now, in this game, we're up to 6,042 damage. There are two tanks left. There is the Griller and the Su-122-54. So we're going after them. We get spotted. It's like, whoa, 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 what spotted me? There it is. It's the TD on top, the Su-122-54. He must have spotted me just as he crested the ridgeline. And it's like, okay, we know where this guy is. Maybe the Griller's up here with him somewhere. So we're just going to get as close as we can to him and hopefully push the damage total up, because we're on for a very, very good game here, and I do want my top gun if I can possibly get it. So we're just trying to use the mobility of the tank to get towards the Su-122-54, and as you can see, realistically for a heavy tank, it's not that bad. I mean, we're on an incline, we're doing 30 kilometers an hour, it's pretty good. We end up getting spotted from the right, which is, there's the Griller, he ends up tracking us in place. We go for the RBRT double shot, and disaster, it misses. That's where the Derp, we should have aimed it properly. We should not have waited on the RBRT. We should have actually fully aimed the shot there and just been able to see if the shot would go in. So I'm going to start side scraping out on this Griller. The Griller ends up firing. I go for the drive wheel to see if I can track him in place, because that way I'd have been ready to fire the next shot if I did. But unfortunately, the shot only goes into his upper plate and it doesn't track him. It just went a little bit too far to the left. Now we've got the double shot ready, because we can shut this guy down in 2 shots. And I'm like, please, come on, Griller. Do it. We switched the double shot off because we don't need it anymore, because he's just taking a hit. And we're going to push over to him to see if he ends up pulling back. So I was thinking, oh, he's going to pull back from the Audace. He's not going to just sit there and take the hit and get killed. But unfortunately, he did. We are now trying to see if we can feather out the shot on this Su-122-54 in the distance. I'm thinking, I did see him a second ago, so maybe he'll drive out and give me a shot. We put the double shot on, because there's a possibility that we could roll high enough to get him. We can just see the Su-122-54, we go for it, and unfortunately we just about low roll the shots, so we don't quite get the kill. But we do finish the game with a really nice total, and actually that is the best game I've had in this tank. And that is, we finished with the victory, 5 kills, 7.1k damage, 1692 assistance, the ace tank of the Confederate, the high caliber, 2,252 base XP. Pretty damn nice game there for the IS-3-II with the stock 122mm gun. And that's probably the best way of describing it, because you got the stock 100mm gun and then a stock 122mm gun. That was with the 122mm gun. You saw the good and the bad with that gun, which is the alpha is nicer. When you're double shotting, that alpha is very, very nice. But it can be derpy and it can miss shots. You saw it at the long range shots we were having against that machine, where they were just sort of flying all over the place. The attempted RBRT double shot on the Gorilla, that both shots went somewhere, because we didn't really look down the sight, so we don't know. You know, that gun is pretty derpy, and the penetration does let it down, but then it lets it down on the 100mm gun as well, because, you know, you've got pretty much the same penetration on both those weapons. So now we're into the last 2 replays of this video, and this is the tank, the IS-3-II, fully upgraded. We've got top engine, top tracks, top turret, the top 122mm gun. This 122mm gun, or double barrel, realistically, that you have on this tank is a up-tiered version of the IS-3's BL9. So it has 243 standard penetration on its AP, and 292 penetration on its APCR, which is... it's actually a little bit below standard, realistically, for penetration for a tier 9 heavy tank, because a lot of them are pushing that 248 to 260 realm, and then a lot of their penetrations on their premium rounds are like 310 plus. So this is definitely a lot lower in terms of that penetration, but it's still usable. You just struggle against tanks like Mausers, Type 5, you know the drill. Super heavy tanks that have stupidly strong armor, is where this tank struggles with that penetration. And then because of having to then reload both guns to get APCR in and stuff like that, it means that you do have a bit of a struggle at times to get that penetration that you need into your cannon in good time to attack the super heavy tanks. But apart from that, the 390 Alpha's nice. The accuracy on it, even though it's got 0.4 accuracy and 3-second aim time, it really does not feel that bad whatsoever. It really doesn't. And that's why I don't run the gun stabilizer. And you're seeing that in all these replays. I just don't run the gun stabilizer. I just run vents, optics, and traction system. Just because the traction system gives me that extra track traverse and that extra top speed, which is lovely, to get up to 41 kilometers an hour. And yeah, that means that the gun isn't as good as it can be, because I'm not taking the stabilizer. But it's one of those questions of, does it need it? If the guns annoy you and they are extremely derpy and you get really frustrated, drop the traction system and just go for a gun stabilizer. Because that is the one thing. You need to kit the tank to how you feel and how you feel comfortable. I feel comfortable in this tank without the gun stabilizer. You might not. It is what it is. So in this first game, fully upgraded in the IS-3-II, you've seen me do something that you always really must do. And that is, I went to the position in the valley at F1, saw the AVRE, and went, hell nah, I ain't doing that. And that position became basically completely useless for me. I would have just sat there and done nothing. I wouldn't have been able to do much. I probably would have kept taking hits from an AVRE. And I decided, nope, I have to relocate. If a position isn't going to work for you, don't just sit there and say, well, I've got to try. You may as well relocate, get yourselves into a different position to see if you can affect the game in a different way. Because realistically, like what I felt like I was going to do in that position, it was just sit there and try to hit those tanks and fail and just keep getting splashed non-stop to the point where I was basically going to die with doing nothing. So we relocated, we moved on, we went into this middle road because quite a few of our team went to the town and they ended up spotting the tanks that were out along the AB line, and therefore we managed to get a few shots out. We've come towards the enemy base and we've ended up finding that poor Taran who we shut down. We're now just looking at the secondary cupola on the Tortoise. It's a hard shot to hit, realistically, especially at the angle he's at, and we ended up ricocheting. Now we're going to drive out towards this Tortoise to see if we can shoot him in his cupola, which we do. I was tempted to do the double shot, but no, I want to keep my DPM at this point because I feel like I'm going to have the ability to keep firing when and where I want to. So we put another shot into the cupola of the Tortoise there. I was thinking now I could double shot to kill him, But he's taking hits himself, and again, I just want to keep the DPM going. I don't want to put myself in a really, really long reload. We go for the drive wheel there to track and pen the E5, sorry. But unfortunately, if we had better pen or if we're firing premium, we probably would have tracked and penned that E5 there. But because we've only got 243 pen, we just don't quite have the penetration to actually pen him at that sort of angle to track and pen it, which is really quite sad. That, again, is where the sort of lower penetration does let down. If we were in an M103 or an E75 or something like that, we would have been able to track and pen that guy. Well, maybe not the E75, that because it's got a similar penetration. But the M103, for example, or the T10 or the ST1, if we were talking about other Soviet tanks as well. But we managed to get a couple of shots into that E5. We're up to 3.8k damage. There's just one tank left on enemy team. It is that AVRE from earlier on who has taken absolutely no damage. And unfortunately for me, he ends up charging the other way. And I really just wish I'd gone along the 3 line, because I probably would have got a shot into him. But our AVRE deletes their AVRE, which is AVRE Karma, probably. Yeah. I finished with the victory, 3 kills, 3.8k damage, the first class, the sniper medal, 1649 base XP, a pretty decent game for the IS-3-II, fully upgraded. That was just sort of a bang average game of, hey, this is what happens. If you put yourselves in a position where it's not going to work, you may as well go and try and make it work somewhere else, and that's exactly what we did. And now we're on to the 4th and final replay of this video. Well played if you got here, and this is actually probably the second best replay I've had in this tank, or the second best game I've had in this tank. I've played this game now. I've played this game a lot. I'm nearly 50k battles. No, I've played this tank about 30 times so far. I've got another 90,000 XP to go to unlock the ST-II at this point of recording this video. And yeah, this is the second best game I've had, and it's been a fun experience, like I say. And this was the best game I've had so far with the Top Gun. I'd say what I've had in my experience with this tank is I haven't had any truly... I've had, obviously, the 2 7k games you're going to see. Well, I've just spoiled this replay, but... Yeah, I've had the 2 games you're going to see, but... It's more that instead of having those ridiculously high damage games well, not consistently, but doing those ridiculously high damage games, they've been a bit harder to come by, but I've been just consistently pushing damage out and consistently getting that 3 to 4k damage pretty comfortably, right? You know what I mean? Where it's just been, the games have all been comfortable. I've just been comfortably doing that. There's just been quite a few games where I've ended up getting 2-shot by Tyrans, because there's about 4 to 5 Tyrans running about half the time at the minute for some reason if you get a tier 10 game. Say for some reason it's because it's on sale again. And yeah, so obviously there's some games where you can't do anything anyway just because RNG says no, but when you've had those normal games, it's been consistently doing 3 to 4k quite easily. And it just is a really comfortable tank to play, this IS-3-II. I mean, I've not played the ST-II so far, but I would go as far to say that this is probably my most fun tank to play out of the line, because I like the mobility, I like the gun handling, I like the DPM, I like the turret armor, the hull armor for side scraping and stuff like that. There's just so much I like about this tank, and plus the AP and APCR is quite nice as well, even though the penetration is a little bit low, and like I say, that's probably realistically the one downside to the tank. The true downside to the tank is the penetration problem, but apart from that, it's a hell of a fun tank. And yeah, this game is Himmelsdorf in a nice matchup, top tier, which is good. It doesn't happen all that often for tier 9. And we're up to 2.4k damage. We've come to the train tracks. Now, I could have gone to the Banana Road, which is the 8 line, but I decided against that and decided I wanted to come to the train tracks. Why? Because I could get hull down in that window at C3 like you saw, and I can catch people out as they cross. I can try and get some damage that way, and I can keep safe. Whereas it's a bit more awkward at times on that Banana Road. We go for the double shot here on this Progetto, but the modelling on that corner was a bit dodgy. I could see the Progetto. My guns could see him, but I couldn't shoot him. Because if I'd just shot there, I would have hit scenery, which was really weird, but hey-ho. We're up to 3.5k damage. And I want to get rid of this E50. We put a shot into his side there, which luckily tracks him in place, the poor E50, and we shut him down with the second shot. This is where this tank can be really beautiful, because of the ability to double tap like that. I mean, we didn't actually use the double tap, we just fired, and then we were ready to fire the next shell again really quickly. So because he just didn't get the chance to put his tracks back on. Now we've got this Barask, we load the double tap, give him the little ram, get out of here little Barask, it's not your game today my sonny boy Jim Bob, and we shut him down. We're up to 5.1k damage, we've blocked 3.2k as well, which is pretty good, and the artillery is facing the other way. This is beautiful. We get the RBRT, and we're just going to keep firing cyclically here to just try and finish this guy off. Give him a little love tap, which gives us a little bit of extra damage, tracks him in place. He repairs it, but there's no chance for you, Mr. Artillery. Sayonara. And we get rid of the FV-3805. There's two tanks left in this game. There's the Thankyou 4 that is directly in front of us, and the IS-3-II that is on the hill. So, the Thankyou 4 is a double tap. He is a double tap, and I'm looking at this guy going, I think I can get there before he could get away up that hill. So we switch the double tap on, and we're just racing. You can see he's just starting to climb the hill. So there's every chance that I am going to get there before he gets away. I'm really hoping so. I want to push it to 7k damage. There he is. Get the double tap in. Satisfying. Shut him down. Every time you hit those double taps, and then you also kill someone with the double taps, oh, it's ever so satisfying. It was just like that with the IS-3-II, and it was just like that with the Object 703-II as well. And I mean, the Object 703-II is a really fun tank, and so is this. To be honest, all the double barrels except for the double tap have been really fun, because the double tap was absolutely atrocious. And it's been a fun line to play. It's definitely a very fun addition so far, because obviously I've not played the ST2 yet. I've not had to go with that. Because just the gun mechanic's interesting. The tank's all-round abilities are quite nice. They're not too good, but they're not bad, right? You know what I mean? They're just sort of fairly well balanced in that regard, because they're quite... I mean, at the end of the day, they're quite easy to wreck. But if you underestimate them, they're going to wreck you pretty quickly too. So we're finally getting up towards this IS-3-II. And we're just trying to get the shot in. We try and go for the shot into his side, but unfortunately it only does track damage. We're nearly loaded. And we cap. We capped, so we couldn't quite get the kill for our top gun. No top gun allowed. And we finished the game with 5 kills, 7k damage, 3.5k blocked. Ace tanker, the steel wall, the high caliber, 1932 base XP, a really great game for the IS-3-II, which has honestly been an absolutely solid grind. I'm still looking forward to going and grinding it some more for the extra 90k to get the tier 10 of this line. Absolutely solid tank. It's definitely, I'd say, so far, the best of the ones I've played. Hell of a lot of fun. And yeah. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success!